自由に羽ばたいてこの希望を装填して大丈夫このままさ私の手を取って今日という日を祝って笑って愛して光になるから鼓動鳴らして消えない傷を抱えていても眠れない骨に噛んでいても君に似合う笑顔を探す期待していてよ飛び立つ空に祈り打ち放て目覚めた命今は生きるんだ守れるものはこの瞬間だけ一緒に行こう私を信じて声が聞こえた未来へこのきらめきは誰も消せないよ守れるのなら引き金を引こう祝福をしよう新たな願いをほら楽しいことを選んでいこうやりたいことを全部やろう悩むことは何もないよ惑う暇はない光やれて願うそう暗闇打ち抜いてアップルパイ片手にねどこまでも行けそうずっと夢から覚めないこのまま気づいて私の翼で壊して描いた空飛び立つ空に祈り打ち放て目覚めた命今は生きるんだ守れるものはこの瞬間だけ一緒に行こう私を信じてほら飛び立つ空に祈り打ち放て目覚めた命今は生きるんだ守れるものはこの瞬間だけ一緒に行こう私を信じて声が聞こえた未来へこのきらめきは誰も消せないよ守れるのなら引き金を引こう祝福をしよう新たな願いをほら自由に羽ばたいてこの希望を装填して大丈夫このままさ私の手を取ってほら
Testing, mic check. Cinnamon buns, hold up, something is auto playing. What is playing? Sanctuary? Sanctuary inside. Okay. Hello, friendos. My name is Nez, and we are once again back at it. Words are hard. Back at it again for some more Arknights because we are going to be continuing our story reading. Wow, I almost said story reading. I actually did say story reading. Words are really hard today. I'm sorry. But we are going to have a lot more words because we're going to be continuing our profile record reading of the 200 trust profile records in Endfield because apparently that's where a lot of the good writing is hidden in Endfield so far. Not to say 1.1 didn't have a good story. We did that last stream. I did enjoy that quite a lot. But also, I'm hungry. I'm hungry for more story. And so far, we're going to check out the profile records some more. Last time, we stopped at... we finished up the 4 stars, and then we moved up to a couple 5 stars, and I think today we should be able to continue and finish up the 5 stars, and maybe next weekend we could get started on the 6 stars, because as far as anyone's concerned, I got most of everyone. Alright? I think I got everyone to 200 now, of all operators that I actually own. Even the 6 stars that recently arrived. So there's that. Apparently, if you just dump 9 gifts a day to any of your operators, it only takes like a week or so to get them up to full 200. And I actually did 3 at a time for a whole month. Should have just dumped shit. We have a lot of surplus stock, Valley stock anyway. I've actually started working on my Wuling factories so far once we've unlocked Cuprium ore. So I've been working on that. I set up 2 more forges. I've started producing the new battery or so, and production seems to be okay. We're at an equilibrium with ore. I still don't know what to use Ferium ore on. Especially in Wuling. At least in Wuling, it's mostly just used for the next tier of batteries. However, Originium ore is probably gonna be a bottleneck over there. Still haven't decided how to optimize my production lines for now. So far, so good. Anyway, aside from that, I have actually... I've been working on getting Tang Tang up to 90. I'm planning to master up... I have no idea whether her most valuable skill is her battle skill or her combat skill. So, I'm probably planning to master either of these and get her weapon up to 90. And then, we're gonna probably set up some streams where we attempt trimming some medals. We're gonna attempt trimming the Recrisis bosses and see how far we could go, considering Umbral Monument won't get updated until like the end of this month. So there's that. We could prepare, we could test out Tang Tang some more, make some more gear, optimize some shit. Still don't quite know what her best in slot gear is. Probably gonna stick to the battle skill setup, considering battle skill buffs her water spouts. But yeah, also, yes, this view is definitely required for us to check out and re-equip gear on her. I assure you, dear viewer, this angle of Tang Tang's ass is absolutely necessary. So anyway, with that said, let's actually get into the thick of things. Oh yeah, right. Yesterday, right after stream, we got a little surprise. I pulled Ember in the standard banner. In one of the only blue tickets that we get with this patch, she appeared in a in a 1 pull, and I'm actually happy about that. Slowly but surely, I'm finally grabbing the standard operators. I'm still saving my selector ticket until I only have 1 left that I don't have. Considering that we already have Ember, I'm really inclined to just open up Boggers and put him on a physical team. But I also don't have enough resources to level up yet another team. I might as well just dump everything on a cryo team. We also don't quite know if they're gonna make Mifu a partner for Tang Tang. Who knows? We had a little teases here and there during the main story of 1.1 that maybe Mifu might be a cryo user. Who knows? Maybe we get a 6-star cryo vanguard, or maybe our first brawler. Who knows? But yeah, happy about getting Ember. Okay, so where did we stop in our last profile reading stream? We stopped at both Wolfguard and Snowshine. So, next up, we should have Arclight! I've already made my opinions known about Arclight. I think it is a fucking shame that this is the way Hypergriff chose to render her 3D model, considering the way her 2D art and concept art is rendered. Hypergriff is never beating the allegations. This is the darkest character we will have in Endfield for now. So, Arclight! Hanabit faction, the Hanabit circuit. As a faction, she's a Kuranta. She's an Uma. Expertise, tool assembly. Minimalist crafting. An assembly of simple items might create a tool capable of helping people survive, such is the wisdom of the wildlands. Aldertone, natural lore. The cruelty of life taught Arclight the lessons of survival. She hopes to teach others these lessons. Hobbies, nature. She's a wildlands explorer. Nature is filled with danger, but whenever she pauses to look around, magnificence is all that she felt. Night Runner. The wildlands is the best place to exercise. It is there where she could run to her heart's content. Arclight, female, Hanabit Circuit, January 3, Kuranta, infected. Strength, excellent. Combat skill, standard. Acumen, normal. Assimilation, excellent. Arclight is a song seeker from the Hanabit Circuit, and she joined Enfield Industries as a field operator with recommendations from Aldertone Orisha. Arclight also provides support for various Enfield operations as well as maintenance and repairs for Enfield machinery and vehicles. To Arclight, the motorcycle is more than just a transport vehicle. She regards them as a companion that grows with her. Every dismantling and modification achieved more than just a simple repairs. They brought transformation and new life. Perhaps the need to both protect machinery and life gave Arclight her excellent understanding of mechanical engineering and aesthetics. Also, Arclight hails from the Hanabit Circuit. She's more than eager to share everything she knows with those in need. Although the phrases and words she uses are full of metaphors, they also reflect her unique and in-depth knowledge of the wildlands. Marvin Malin, Assistant HR Division, Enfield Industries, who may or may not be a bot. Like Lancet too. Ikut is the actual name of Operator Arclight. Whenever people ask if she came from the Hanabit Circuit, Arclight always answered with this line: I follow Aldertone Orisha, and every song seeker is her own master. Operator Arclight has an indescribable passion about motorcycles. Arsenal engineer Semyon often conversed with Arclight regarding her motorcycle, and had these to say. Initially, I thought it was a custom military vehicle that found its way into the civilian market. I could hardly believe what I saw when it turned out to be the work of engineering that Arclight assembled and tuned on her own. I studied the motorcycle closely after acquiring her permission. Its Originium engine was a 10-year-old piece of obsolete tech from Mieszko Industries. The drivetrain was produced by Triglava Armory. Labels on the suspensions were worn out, but I guessed, based on the structures, that they were from North March Support Hub. The most impressive component would be the chassis. The entire thing was handcrafted, and every weld made to the greatest detail. The entire framework felt almost seamless. Even more extraordinary was the fact that the motorcycle wasn't just an assembly, but an integration that exemplified the strengths of every component's manufacturer. This could only have been achieved with the highest level of technical expertise. The entire vehicle was a near-perfect balance of power, endurance, and handling. That's the voice I gave him. Engineer Semyon. You haven't met them yet. Although everyone approves of Operator Arclight's superb technical abilities, many also pointed out this observation. She treated people rather coldly and spoke in a manner that was rather difficult to understand. Even Operator Semyon reflected that Arclight rarely spoke. Perhaps Operator Arclight's unique experiences made her appear lukewarm, and her first impressions gave off the vibe that she was an unfriendly individual. However, people who got to know her better would learn that she was an incredibly reasonable person. Those who often conversed with Arclight even heard her saying shocking things that resembled jokes. Needless to say, Operator Arclight was simply speaking her mind and wasn't trying to be funny in these circumstances. Comments about Arclight being difficult to converse with typically arise as her language was heavily influenced by the Hanabit Circuit's unique form of expressions. Arclight has a tendency to use metaphors inspired by the natural world, such as using Bird and Beast temper to describe mechanical breakdowns or the morning mist to illustrate an individual's hesitation. People who are more forthright in their manners of speech may be thrown off by Arclight's unique linguistic choices. However, good listeners would also appreciate her clear reasoning and steadfast consistency in her actions. Song seekers of the Hanabit Circuit have their own unique understanding of the world and modus operandi. If one wishes to understand Arclight better, one would do well to appreciate her way of describing the world. File 2. I still remember the first time I met Ikut. Patrolling hunt singers brought her back to camp and the girl was barely alive. It was difficult for us to fathom why such a young child was left to roam the wildlands for months on her own, a suffering that almost killed her with malnutrition and thirst. Oh, finally! Someone else with a backstory that could rival Estella's, because as far as we know, Estella's has the worst backstory so far. To treat the injuries on her right arm, we were forced to reconnect the nerves with circuitry. Oh, is that where her electric arts come from? Is this also how she got infected? Of course, there's no need to be worried about the hazards posed by her right hand. We have designed a special pair of insulation gloves so that she may live normally like us. Her right hand is electrified! Wow, that explains a lot actually. I named her Ikut based on the strong and intelligent burden beast of our Hana. It is my hope that she could grow up strong and survive the wind and frost like a powerful burden beast. She achieved all of that and went beyond my expectations, but Ikut grew up with an immense duty that seemed far too heavy for her. Perhaps it was her early victory over death itself, or powerful name we took from the Hana. When she turned 15, Ikut started to seek songs and roam the wildlands. The song seeker did everything she could to help the villages and towns in dire straits, even when the challenges were far too great. I still remember that rainstorm. During our rescue operation, Ikut ventured into the heart of the tempest. We thought she would never come back. Just when all hope seemed lost, an arc of lightning streaked across the sky. Like that arc, she pierced the fury of nature and leaped onto the last wagon. With this act, the wildlands began to address her as Arclight. The name was woven into the Hana of numerous song seekers. She took a name from the verses and returned a new name to their songs. I was not surprised when Arclight told me that she wanted to seek new answers from Endfield. In fact, it reminded me of the choice I made when I was younger. I once roamed far to the canopies of the starry night. From there, I felt a chorus of hope and courage assembled in the floating city. Right, we have a couple floating cities in Endfield so far. I'm not sure if they're referring to Seshka specifically, which is the city of the Sarkaz, which also might be the Imperiana Casdelia, or a different floating city. How many floating cities do we really have? Those memories felt like they belonged to a lifetime ago, but I believe that as long as the stars still shine in the sky, civilization will one day be united once more. I also believe that Arclight, along with the names and oaths she wove into her Hana, will find the answers she truly seeks. Letter of recommendation, written by Aldertone Orisha. Her master, who also named her and raised her, basically her parent. File 3. A massive landbreaker army had encircled the Wildlands village. Breakers prepared themselves for a full-scale assault. Hopelessness spread like a plague amongst the garrisoned Endfield operators and local residents. That was the moment when they saw her, Arclight of the Hanabit Circuit, the lone song seeker who roared into the town astride her motorcycle. She tore through the rear of the breaker army and seized control of the situation without hesitation. Under her leadership, the residents created a defense line with their wagons and salvage. The elderly and children were moved to the hills. Everyone who could work dug the trenches and set up simple Originium defense units. Every action was calm and simple, and she moved throughout the place like a part of the Wildlands itself. On the eve of the landbreaker attack, thunder rumbled from afar. The monsoons came as usual, and a night-long torrential rain carved a new creek that coursed through the place. Arclight may have memorized every corner of the Wildlands. The river coursed through the trenches that Arclight directed and became a protective moat that protected the entire village. The flood waters also washed through the breakers' camp and foiled their attack formations. So far, she's definitely a lot more put together than Estella. Landbreakers did not leave empty-handed. They attempted to ford the moat and assail the defenses, but every attack was beaten back by Arclight. The Enfielders and village residents, in the end, the raiders were forced to escape under the cover of a rainy night. When the dark rain clouds finally left the Wildlands, Arclight found the Enfield operator who was sending a report to Dijiang. She waved a letter of recommendation to the skies and said, "The quaking of the Wildlands dirt led me here now. Now please lead me to Enfield." And I'm guessing this is one of her songs. Once the grasses rippled and ripened, while rivers flowed and glistened, now the bones of the land have loosened. The sky hanged low as rain fell in torrents. Bones bleached in the wildlands, winds choked with dust. No song seeker Hana could hide anger nor angst. Like a lame burden beast, I escaped dark waves that tossed and rolled. Where is the Hanabit Circuit, the land where all may grow? My path is filled with dust and thorns. Where is the Hanabit Circuit, the land where all may grow? The drifting city cast to the lands, the anchor of hope. So is the Hanabit Circuit another floating city aside from Seshka? And I, in pursuit of silent stars, will start another trip. Hanabit circuit take me to the brink. As winds never cease, I shall never quit. Hannah of Arclight. She's kinda peak. She kinda has a sick backstory. Still ashamed though about what Hypergrip did to her. The Pan, my man!
Where to next, admin?
Hell yeah, baby! Hold up, let me take a sip of my coffee. Faction! Hongshan Academy of Sciences. Race: Ursus. Expertise: cooking. Skill editing: steaming, deep frying, stir frying, stewing. Master the stove and you master the 100 arts of cooking. The Pan will not hesitate to use the secret ho-ho art of stove fire to perfectly balance the ride of flavors in his dishes. Tool assembly: when HAS professors bring along their teapots to discuss academic topics with the Pan, the Tianshi disciples realize that the chef is also carrying a flask with a slogan that reads Vanguard Scientist. I almost forgot that the Pan is kind of a scientist. Gourmet chef, the Pan enjoys creating new dishes, but getting a heartfelt delicious from his patrons will make him even happier. Traveling vendor, chauffeur, tour guide, renovator, and master who keeps everyone fed. The Pan hates downtime, it makes him itch for some action. He's a worldly roamer. Profile: the Pan, male, HAS, May 19, Aripathy status, negative. Strength, excellent. Combat skill, standard. Acumen, normal. Assimilation, excellent. I kind of felt like... I've always felt like the Pan actually never seemingly used Originium arts. I thought he just hit people with his walk. What do you mean his crushing arts are actual Originium arts? Actually, well, maybe he does fire arts that we've never seen before that he uses just for cooking. Operator the Pan, real name Pan Yuan. What do you mean his government name is not the Pan? Was I lied to? The Pan, did you lie to me? Your government name is Pan Yuan? Is a member of the Hongshan Academy of Sciences. He claims to be a very well-traveled chef and trader. He has joined the Spectac division as an independent with recommendations from Chen Qianyu and letter of authentication from HAS. We also respected his personal wishes and granted him partial authority levels for canteen access. Yes, like Gummy. The Pan provided an incredibly chaotic CV. His verifiable work experiences include owner of a hotpot eatery, La Meda, literal translation, spicely huge, Tianshi, he was a Tianshi, I kind of forgot that from the beta. At the HAS, electrician, carpenter, machinist, background extra in Hei Chuan, Xailin, literal translation, Fists of Combined Will revisited. Two of his past experiences cannot be verified. The first was a brief stint of driving taxis in Simuk. We failed to find any commercial driving license or records of the Pan in said city. When I pointed out this finding, the Ursus Maw cracked into a 70-degree smile and he applied a rather powerful slap on my mechanical chassis. Once again, implying that Martin Marvin Malin may be a bot? When do we get Martin Marvin Malin as a 1-star playable bot? Also coincidentally, 3 initials that add up to M3. Probably not the same person. The second would be friendly assist and support. The Pan claims he part-timed at an ornamental burden beast stand-in for 3 days at La Fantoma. By the time I realized that I had been misled into an engrossing dialogue about unlicensed taxi driving in ornamental burden beasts, we had already been talking for 4 hours, and I had neglected to ask the Pan about the experiences that he should remember best, his time as a Tianshi at HAS. While verifying his experiences in HAS, the Pan became visibly downcast and displeased, but he quickly resumed his smile and deflected the topic with a casual joke. Then he showed me a friendly group photo of him and other ornamental burden beasts. I could obviously tell that he was trying to avoid talking about his disagreeable past with the other Tianshi. But this is not a negative consideration for Enfield. Since the Pan is still affected by the science station incident 10 years ago, it proves that he remains deep inside an HAS Tianshi who holds a strong sense of principles, responsibilities, and duties. That's my man's. Document. Uncle Pan, the ever-changing. Alright, this is by Chen. Uncle Pan, the ever-changing, lives in Wuling, and he's like the most warmest person I've ever seen. He's black and white, and his eyes look like grapes. His ears look like gold yuan bao, and he looks very cool with his sunglasses. Uncle Pan can transform, and he's got all sorts of clothes like a big white chef apron and crew overalls. Sometimes he also wears a yellow plastic hat. Uncle Pan also has a hot pot shop and told us that we could have meals at the place if we miss home. And if we got tired of hot pot, he'll make us delicious stuff like mantao buns, flashy fried kidneys, and sweet sour fins. The best food made by Uncle Pan is the vinegar, bok choy, and refried meat, and he wants to make them the chef's special. But sometimes Uncle Pan plays tricks on us. He puts spicy sauce in my lunchbox, but tells me it's magic jam, so I share the magic jam with my friends, and everyone got sausage lips. Uncle Pan takes care of the kids, and he also helps other people. He can fix power meters, do plumbing and pipes, chop the bamboos. Because Uncle Pan is so helpful to everyone, everyone also wants to help Uncle Pan. But Uncle Pan is really powerful, and there's nothing we could help him with, so we gave him delicious fruits and sweets. And the landlord lowered his hot pot shop rent. People say that Uncle Pan is homeless because his home exploded, so he has to spend money to live in a friend's home. One day I asked Uncle Pan why he made no money after working for many years. He told me he spent all the money on food, but I later learned that he spent all the money on his kids. Chen Qianyu. Intellect 85. His passion and friendliness are infectious. People often start spilling their beans and sharing their stories within minutes after meeting him, but the reverse does not apply. Operator Pan rarely talks about his story. Nevertheless, many still regard him as the friendly HAS Tianshi who really knows how to cook. A painful past may be a burden to bear. Being a listener with a few words makes him a decent friend, however being secretive and keeping to oneself are rarely good things. My other concern is that after the Pan arrived in Dijiang, many of our operators and the Enmin began putting on significant amounts of weight. That's our guy. Document. List of candidates for the Vanguard Scientist Award. Author. Luo Shichao. After integrating observations for the 3 dimensions of innovation, influence, and adaptability, I recommend Tianshi Panyuan as the recipient of this year's Vanguard Scientist Award. His work so far accrued a total of 12 academic achievements, and he has attained 6 sustainable development goals for the HAS. Very few attendees from the last 10 years of achievements on this bar of his. And the Pan is not yet even 30. What do you mean he's not in JRPG old man years yet? He's a fake uncle? He has stolen valor? You have stolen Unk Valor, the Pan? You're not even in your 30s yet? I've been lied to. There's so many revelations in this profile record that I've been lied to about the Pan. Although I am his mentor, I can guarantee that my evaluations are completely fair and balanced. When Pan Yuan knocked on my door and described his wish to be on my project team, my first reaction was to turn him down. The young man had left a relatively poor impression with me back then. He played ping pong with explosives on fire. He also got several veterans and well-respected Tianshi to perform tap dance on a digital poster of creative Maolago cuisine lovers. He built several high-speed battleships from scraps and attacked our subterranean cryo storage facility with his fleet. Uncle Pan? The entire building reeked of rotten fins for a month. Yes, I suppose these are minor misdemeanors that come naturally to the youths. HAS encourages all kinds of scientific exploration, and even I ended up in the emergency medical bay a few times back in my younger days. Certain youths play pranks to get attention. Some of them do so to sate their immense curiosity about the world. Pan Yuan doesn't quite belong to either of these categories. He is too smart. Not smart enough for pants. I saw disinterested boredom in his eyes when he was caught doing these pranks. After becoming his mentor, I realized that he committed these actions because he could. To put it in other words, he wanted to prove that he was simply better than anyone else in HAS, even when it came to pulling off pranks on campus. My man, GigaChad. Joy comes from challenges. Take away the challenge and you deprive any opportunities for joy. And a joyless academic pursuit will never get far. A sculptor who spends every moment chipping away at the stone will only leave a handful of works behind. Panyuan has proved to be most obstinate. This stone must be properly polished to reveal its true beauty. But only another slab of stone harder than him could hope to bring down his pride and chip away at his edges. I told him, there are several Tianxia who made significant achievements in the field of rift research. They would be better mentors than me. But Panyuan replied, but there is a greater mountain with me that must be conquered first. Your projects and research focus are the only things that match my goals. At that moment, I saw confusion and pain, and maybe a subtle dash of cautious hope in his eyes. Maybe my judgment on his character was not entirely correct. Perhaps something changed him. As long as he is persistent, I have faith that he will change for the better. And if you must have a reason for not giving him the award, there's a matter of his rather impulsive temperament, and also because he was cooking in the lab and deliberately mislabeled a tub of puffed rice as reducing agent. Maybe he didn't want others to steal his food, but this action completely wrecked my first prototype. He cooks in the lab! GigaChad, my man. Document. Funeral speech. I will sip my coffee. It was an ordinary morning, like all the other mornings that HAS had received before. But when the sunlight poured into the office, my husband had already passed away in his dreams. He committed his entire life to the Hongshan Academy of Sciences. Naturally, there was a time when I hated it. Whenever I stepped into the corridor to deliver his meal, I felt only annoyance when I heard all-knowing Tianxia debate each other. I didn't care if they were trying to get permanent tenure, jostling for higher positions, or really trying to get people fed. I didn't want to know why they were creating stacks of paper with no actual benefits to the environment. None of these mattered to me. I didn't understand why they would neglect their own lives just so others could survive and live theirs. It felt as though survival was a canon rule of the academy, or an abstract concept. Perhaps their entire philosophy and career and even existence was just part of their obsession of theirs. With my own hands, I buried my daughter's dress at this public cemetery many years ago. She was one of the 113 who left us in the early days of the Wuling Science Station. During the crisis at the Very Big Rift. My husband and I have not talked for years. When I learned that my darling girl's vital signs ceased, he was carrying out the consecutive voting processes of the old Tianxia. He only called me after 3 days. I was in tears when I asked why we couldn't bring our children's remains back home. He only told me it was impossible. At that time, the only wish on my mind was to strap myself with explosives and take my husband and those old academicians to their grave. That is, until two incredibly young Tianxia opposed the vote. One was Viceroy Zhuang, and the other was an Ursus. The latter made quite a scene at HAS and soon left Hongshan after submitting his resignation. I thought the young lad, having expressed his disagreement in such a physical manner, wouldn't attend the funeral. But I saw him, before everyone gathered here. He grew up and matured. He came quietly and left us quietly. He shared no words with anyone and left nothing but a jar of Mrs. Pepper. Mrs. Pepper! And now with my hands, I buried my husband. I still detest HAS for having devoured my entire family. Yet I know that he, that child, and every young Tianxia standing here with us, whom my late husband has mentored, you have nothing but love for the academy. At least he had flowers and his favorite hot sauce by his side when he left us. Prepared audio log. Dozens of hours have passed. Unfortunately, we picked up no vital signs in the vicinity of the very large rift. Since we have a unanimous consensus, we shall act upon the decision and cease all search and rescue operations. Objection! I'm not going to argue whose proposal it was and how it ended up this way, but at least have some common decency to bring our people out. Dead or alive. I'm not sure if this is the ban or not. How could we even face their families after this? Oh wait, no, this is the band. This is definitely the band. Zhuangfang Yi, don't you dare side with them. Wait, no, never mind. This was Professor Huang. Calm down and let me say something. Professor Huang, I believe Tianqi Pan is right. Oh wait, no, maybe it was Pan, okay. Giving up right now goes against the collective, as well as individual spirit espoused by the HAS. I recommend continuing our search and rescue efforts. Zhuang, I can't believe you actually agreed with Tianqi Pan on something. But this isn't the moment or place. Listen to us. This isn't giving up. We simply couldn't get it done. As Tianqi, you should use the balance of reason and understand this is us weighing the living against the dead. Now get back to your seats. Couldn't get it done? Then think of something to get it done. Not everyone is like you, Pan Yuan. Yanni's expletive. And that's when he quit. An investigation into the joint applications and efficiency of Zeronite machine automation control systems in the automated industry complex. Abstract. The investigation specifically focuses on the automation of Zeronite machinery and discusses potential possibilities and concepts for jointly... Okay, we get it. It's an abstract. Keywords: engineering, Endfield Industries, Rift, Blight, cooking, food safety, efficiency optimization. References: Endfield Industries 10-year plan, recommended milestones for the automated industry complex, Endfield Industries sharing of open source technologies of AIC approaches, Endfield Industries an overview of applied technologies of originating circuitry, and Huang MZ and Luo SQ field applications of Zeronite protoforms, and the remediation of blight trauma. It isn't an everyday thing when you can simply open the dorm room to converse with authors of the works you cited in your younger days. I know I helped solve a few problems here and there, but looking at the bigger picture, I actually received way more assistance in return. The paper. Don't flatter me, Edmin. I'll get really embarrassed. It's just based on basic theories you came up with years ago. This is far from a breakthrough. It's kinda funny, really. I'm already 40 plus, yet I'm still obsessed about climbing the highest mountain. Who's 40 plus? Oh, I think it's probably... Okay. It's the Pan. It's really funny, really. Wait. Okay, he was under 30 when he was studying as a Tianshi. Now he's definitely 40. Okay. The Pan definitely does not have stolen Unk Valor. He's minimum 40. It's kinda funny, really. I'm already 40 plus, yet I'm still obsessed about climbing the highest mountain. There's a little panda deep within me. If I ever mentioned this to the people in HAS, I would end up as joke material. They'd laugh and say how far Pan Yuan has fallen. Mountains would only get higher, so the highest peak is always beyond reach. Oh ho ho ho, I admire your confidence. But the more you say it, the greater my urge to challenge the hike. By the way, I've been looking up about your automated industry complex and worked out brand new tech. It's something you wrote about. I'm definitely not your match. I call this joint growth through competition. If you want me to be honest with you, it's because your AIC factory is terrific. I love this tech. From the bottom of my heart, if only we had this tech back then. If I could get this AIC when I was 20. You're right. It's never too late. That's my uncle. That's my cool uncle. Okay.
Am I looking alright from this angle?
The Australian. Avywenna. Faction. Talos 2 General Chamber of Commerce, aka the TGCC. Race. Cautus. Expertise. Street wisdom. She's a negotiator. She has tagged the price for everything in this world, down to a single word, a single look, and a single thought. She's a bouncy fighter. Do not underestimate her skills. While dodging and evading the opponent, she is always ready to make a lightning-quick bounce. Not many people know that she enjoys making her lodgings as comfortable as possible. Even fewer know how many homes she actually owns. It's not the shimmering glitter of jewelry, but the act of buying that brings her satisfaction, and she intends to truly spoil herself for this trip. Avywenna, female, TGCC, October 25. Cautus, Oripathy negative. Strength standard, combat skill excellent, acumen standard, art standard. I will sip my coffee. Avywenna is an armed messenger for the Special Logistics module under the Endfield Industries Spec Tech division. She's a messenger, like Gilberta. Sweet as sugar carrot, but armed with a big lance. This summarizes my evaluation of Avywenna. If she intends to get something done, she would do so with the most honeyed approach and most merciless of measures. Of course, if Avy was found out she had indulged in the latter, she would treat it as a lapse in performance. Avy has confessed to us, to get things done in the Wildlands, even the kindest soul must put on the most vicious mask. She has exhibited childlike innocence, acted like a mercenary, and negotiated like a professional fraud. We do not know which of these best represents the true profile of Avywenna. Perhaps this might be the reason for her excellent mission performance. Martin Marvin Malin. While serving as a messenger for the Spec Tech division, Operator Avywenna could not give a more different vibe than Operator Gilberta. The latter is known throughout Endfield for her uninhibited sweetness and geniality. Avywenna, on the other hand, approaches socializing like a professional and manages relationships accordingly. It's also very ironic that clearly both Avywenna and Gilberta were designed by LM7. Like, both of them are daughters of LM7. And both of them are messengers in Endfield. One has to work with Operator Avywenna for extended periods of time before noticing her peculiar quirks. For example, despite being extremely loquacious during small gatherings or in private, everyone who recalled the exchanges would realize that they hardly got any truth from Avywenna, especially about herself. Nevertheless, people tend to find themselves spilling their beans with Avywenna as she proved to be an excellent listener. She's always capable of asking friendly questions, leading on discussions along the direction she has planned, and concluding dialogues at just the perfect moments. Avywenna personally explained such skills with her background. She was born to a huge Cautus family living in the free city of Alloy Carrot. Patience easily becomes the most important virtue when living with a huge number of kin. This claim has been verified. Querying Avywenna in the population database of Alloy Carrot gives you 80 individuals with the same name. Whenever Avywenna casually drops a morsel of info about herself, it's always a subtle bait to get a conversational partner to lay everything out. A short dialogue is all she needs to acquire background information and contacts about everyone she's chatting with. Avywenna would also argue with great cunning that she did so out of professional habit that carried over from her messenger career. Where one must constantly deal with people, one thing to note: no one resents Avywenna's air of mystery. Instead, it only got more people interested in chatting her up. Her presence has greatly enhanced Enfield's ability to navigate local affairs that are often tangled and delicate. Avywenna is a master at resolving conflicts and diffusing tension, walking away without a scratch. She is a miner navigating the crisscrossing mines and tunnels of Alloy Carrot. The one directing the situation will never feel lost. The bunny, hello hermit. She has many siblings, like most Cautus families, in the free city of Alloy Carrot, which is probably our closest link to Rimbilton on Endfield thus far. That's where all the rabbits come from. Question is, do they have golden carrots? Did the original Terrans that crossed the gate, did they bring over golden carrots to plant on Talos too, or did we leave that behind on Terra? We're asking the real questions. HR recruitment log from the Shanewood Mail distribution station. When that Cautus woman stepped through the door, I noticed that a big red patch on her clothing. It looked about 2 or 3 days old. Already starting to turn black, I asked if she needed any help, but she just said she wanted a job. She probably saw the hiring notice outside and got interested. It's just ketchup, she said. Nothing to worry about. You sure are one hell of a messy eater, young miss, I responded with an awkward smile. I'm not used to talking to pretty-looking people. The town of Shanewood did not give me much practice. The closest TGCC city is 368 clicks away. The nearest Frontier Mail Depot is about 110 clicks down the road. It was 3 in the afternoon. The most comely female usually frequenting my place would be the burden beast looking for grass outdoor. I assumed this goddess had started her trip from the city 368 clicks away, with her next stop 110 clicks down the road. Her direction was interesting. Most people would travel in the opposite direction. Just last night, I heard some Landbreaker-related altercation 23 clicks away. Armed battery involving 6 individuals, 5 were injured and 1 escaped. The UWSC Security Bureau operating in the frontiers messaged me about looking out for individuals traveling alone. Might just be the fugitive. The notice posted outside says you're looking for a mail courier, the goddess said, pointing behind her with her thumb. Yeah, that's right. Your predecessor resigned just 2 months ago. My predecessor? Are you saying that I'm already hired? Well, you know how to drive. What type of vehicles? We don't care about licenses here. Count all the vehicles that you know how to ride. 6 including trucks, I think. Awesome, I said. You nab the post. Start working tomorrow. I'll also need you to show me your ID and complete this form, just for records. I pushed her the form and penned through the tiny window. She completed the form without much of a thought and pushed it back to me. She also gave me a big glowing smile. What an understanding, kind, and cooperative lady. Then she started unloading her questions on me, as though she asked them a million times before. She also started arranging her accommodations as though she owns the place. Can I park my car in the back? I'm talking about that overgrown plot behind the iron gate. Yes? No problem. So got any Originium power pylons here? I gotta fix my ride. It's down. And what's the network password? Got enough bandwidth on the thing? Yes, for movies. Ooh, not bad. You don't say. You're inviting me? To your place? Oh, a dinner date. That's not what you meant? With your Grams, Postmaster Lane? Say, aren't you way too young for this, kiddo? Much appreciated, but I'll just sleep in my car. Don't worry, I'm used to it. She's a yapper. She gave me a few winks before slowly swaggering her way back through the door. I suddenly remembered that I had to check her form. Lo and behold, name, secret, but yours for 60,000 T-creds. Age, forget it, kiddo. Address, people will pay for this, you know. Relationships, it's complicated! Experience, professional traveler. Health information, essentially safe and hazard-free. Oh, she knows she got it. Oh, there's girls that poop, and there's bitches that shit. We all know what Avywenna is. Letter of recommendation from Postmaster Lane. Ma. Sorry, I got reminded by One Piece live action. If you read this letter of recommendation, I implore you to help out an old friend. Get that woman seated before you out of my mail depot. There's a reason why I chose Shanewood, a place where the foul beasts don't ever roost, to enjoy my peace and quiet and retirement. I do not intend to contend with cartel agents or corpo rats who keep showing up armed and eager to settle some old debt, or score whatever they call it. That's right, my peaceful retirement home of Shanewood has turned into a carnival in less than a year. A bunch of ambulances came through and the Originium charging post in town actually made a decent pile of creds. I don't know what Avy did to them, but from the looks of it, it's probably nothing good. I got pretty simple reasons for sending her your way. This tunnel-crawling Rimbilly gal knows nothing about milking Sisty beasts. In fact, my Sisty herd is now morbidly afraid of her because she keeps squeezing them too hard with those minor hands of hers. No, Avywenna, you gotta treat their udders gently. You gotta treat the cows gently. Also, she sorted out the mailing system and got it working like an oiled machine. Now all the lucky bastards in Shanewood are going to receive their presents ahead of holiday season. Just to let you know, I have been paying her peanuts. But judging from the way she eats, dresses, and acts, and that bespoke, customized outdoor rig, She probably worked in private security detail in the band. My money's on Sloan Security. That's one of the biggest family businesses in the free city of Alloy Carrot, which means she was getting one hell of a paycheck. And since she chose Shanewood as her hideout, I'm fully convinced that she has a serious mental issue. Oh, and there's one more thing. She's super interested in our administrator. After she found my cert of resignation I've kept hidden in my drawers, she started making dinner for us, hoping that I could share something about the Enmin. This is incredibly unsettling. Truth be told, a generation had already passed since I worked with the Enmin. Let's keep these words between us, and I'm trying to be nice and positive here. It takes a nutcase to handle another. Best wishes, Lane. So Lane was a retired Endfield employee. Oh. Or maybe they were a retired operator. That's how she got to know Endfield Industries. Document. Reply to another letter. Lane. Candidate Avywenna has successfully passed a series of tests and is now formally working at Endfield as an operator. Thank you for your recommendation. We shall mail to you one of the Endfield reward supply crates as a token of our appreciation. And she got the recommendation from Lane. Given our safety considerations, I wonder if you could share with us the origins of the polearm that Miss Avywenna carries around with her. She seems very attached to this weapon, but the only thing she told us about it was that the lance was something from her grandmother. Miss Avywenna is armed with far more weapons than we expected. It would take 5 or 6 minutes to fully disarm her to pass security checkpoints. Okay, she just has a bunch of knives hidden somewhere. Let's not mention where. She even has razor blades hidden in the sole of her shoes. And those 2 long straps dangling behind her were not merely cosmetic. What? What do you mean the straps behind her are not cosmetic? I thought they were just cloth. We learned that what they actually do during security training. Sweet as a sugar carrot but armed with a big lance, this is one unique combo. Miss Avywenna, an operator hailing from the residential district zones of Rimbilton, has demonstrated... What? Is that on purpose or is that a mistranslation? Is that supposed to be Alloy Carrot? Rimbilton is back on Terra. Unless, of course, we have a new Rimbilton established on Talos 2. Has demonstrated that powerful offensive capabilities also come in a slim and lithe package. We now have positive views regarding the retention of certain cultural traditions and ecology amongst the residents in this section of the band. I'm gonna assume that a new Rimbilton was established within the Civilization band, and Alloy Carrot is just one of the cities. Otherwise, this would be a mistranslation. Martin Marvin Malin. Private letter. Rimbilton 2. Australia 2? A sequel to Australia? Lamp, where are you, darling babe? Your dear granny, grand aunt, and sister heard from me that you quit your job and left home. Oh, is this from her grandmother? Or from her mother or sisters or aunt or great aunt? They've got a ton of questions and they are relentless. You mean they're... Avywenna has sisters. There are more of her. Even the best fabricated story would breach under their endless drilling. Anyway, the family exploded when they learned you really left home, just as expected. Looking on the bright side, I kept it a secret for 3 weeks, but Mama's gotta know where you've been all this time. Is Lamp her brother, sister? Non-binary sibling? I know our argument at Arlirye left quite a bad taste in the mouth. Mama still doesn't support your choice. When I got back home and sat down, I suddenly remembered the trip I had planned when I was a young gal like you. My bag was already packed and leaning right against the wall. I was that close to picking it up and marching through the door to get somewhere far away when I heard you. You were in your baby feeding chair and smiling at me with a baby knife and fork in your hands. I want to see fan art of baby Avywenna with a knife. And I stayed. I'm sharing this story with you because I wish to tell you that your hope of leaving home might be an inherited habit. Though your great-granny likes to talk about it, the scenes that our pioneering ancestors witnessed after crossing the cosmic gate had already faded onto the patches of mold on the wall. They were part of a gigantic convoy column, a great wall of vehicles that stretched all the way to the edge of the horizon. The truckers kept driving up to the very eve of the severance. Yo! I mean, sure, technically, almost everyone on Terra, as of the moment, are descendants of the first crossers of the Cosmic Gate, but her ancestors, were literal truckers that crossed the gate. That was how we found our first spot of gold. The starting capital upon which we built our logistics business in Alloy Carrot. They struck gold! On Talos too? Well, shit. However, as we spent longer and longer time chasing after mineral veins, our kin no longer felt at home when placed behind the wheel. Watch out for enemies on the road, your TGCC job wasn't exactly low profile, and we had our share of visitors. Rest assured, no one's going to hurt my darling baby doll. I'll handle the rest of our family for you. Don't forget to send us pictures from your traveling. Mama. Aw, she's a mama's girl. Also, great granny, grand aunt, and sister. Is this our first indication that Kata's families are mostly women? It's just something I found interesting, at least about Avywenna's family. I mean, Kata's families, they're large to begin with. They could be as mixed as they want. And now, who is next?
Watch this!
Chen.
Awesome, right?
59 intellect Chen. Chen Qianyu. Faction, Endfield Industries. Race, Lung. Erudite. Every school of martial arts has their own advantages. She merged them all and came up with her own. Nobody knew an attack sequence could include 4 stances at once before she pulled it off. Epiphany. She only needs to see it once to master it. This is not an exaggeration, by the way. Culture. Do not interrupt her when she's in the rare mood for reciting passages from the biographies of martial masters from Great Yan, unless you want to hear her recite boxing manual for red-browed Wing Chun again. Charity. Stand up for justice. Altruism. She is the essence of a true warrior. She's a combat genius, among other things. Chen Qianyu. Female, Endfield, August 18. Lung. Empathy, negative. Strength, excellent. Combat skill, excellent. Acumen, standard. Assimilation, standard. Operator Chen Qianyu was a native of Hongshan City once served at the Wuling Scientific Development District. Supervisor Perlica later recruited her via a private channel at Endfield Industries. She's now a core member of the Crisis Team. Given her outstanding capabilities and mobility, Chen Qianyu is an indispensable component of the team. Those seeking to join Endfield have demonstrated a wide range of literary skills when describing their motives. However, the HR division has yet to establish basic standards for reviewing the personal motivation section. If this section were to be completed in a manner that is too curt or straightforward, I will ask the operator to rewrite their motivations in a style they're comfortable with. However, despite being given 5 standard days to revise this section, Operator Chen Qianyu persisted in writing, "I wanna join. It's fate." Reading this, I realized the need to reflect upon our current review standards and establish a framework, while paying extra attention to the 2 blades that Chen Qianyu placed on my table, though she claimed that she did not do so to threaten me. Operator Chen Qianyu's inner thoughts and feelings are not as casual as she makes them out to be. Taking into consideration of her relatively rich past experiences, it is obvious that her extremely brief and terse descriptions of her personal motives was a conclusion she arrived at after an extended period of self-contemplation. Additionally, I also realized that Chen Qianyu's recruitment had been specifically approved by Supervisor Perlica. From my readings, the recent years have been a period where our supervisor exhibited emotional fluctuations. The operator managed to solve many potential issues by offering much-needed stability and support. Most importantly, I may have neglected how the simple line, "I just wanna join its fate," is actually congruent to the inner logic of Endfield strategic objectives. In other words, these words could be seen as an alternate interpretation of unity and purpose approach in partnership espoused by her Endman, which I also have in my records. Perhaps we now have an explanation capable of satisfying all parties involved in this review. Results of Chen Qianyu's background checks are not complicated. The operator is consistent, simple, and straightforward as she appears. Chen Qianyu grew up in the Hongshan crater and studied swordsmancy at Tanjian Hall. Prior to joining Endfield, she had interned at various organizations and served different individual employers. Hence, in spite of her young age, Operator Chen has years of solo combat experiences. After a period of adjustment, she has now grown used to team-based combat. Unlike many youths who lost their parents in pioneering operations in unforgiving and disaster-ridden lands of Talos II, Chen Qianyu grew up in a wholesome and happy family. Her relatively simple childhood also gave her unshakable optimism. She's often praised for her excellent teamwork, and sunny personality in multiple instances of team-based operations. Many key collaborators, including Chief Engineer Andre, have high hopes for Operator Chen, and believe that she is the poster child for a certain facet of Endfield. Young, positive, friendly, and eager to intercede and solve any problem that needs to be solved. Additional notes. During early contact, we realized Chen Qianyu has, without a doubt, earned stellar performance reviews at multiple employers. However, many are still curious why she never stayed at any particular employer for extended periods of time. To date, Operator Chen has spent the longest period working for Endfield. We asked her this question during a regular interview, and her answers are provided below. Cheers and drinks at La Fantoma? Wait, did I actually work there for 3 months? Yeah, that's easy to explain. I had my fill of milk tea, so I just left. Oh? Temporary security personnel? Yeah, I wasn't old enough to get an actual job, but I really needed the money for my next stop. My only choice was to work in expos and conferences, but yeah, those were the months when I played plenty of big shots in Talos too. Hold on, my graduation year performance at Tanjian Hall is actually excellent. Excellent. Wait, you're not reading that wrong, right? Well, it's normal for me to be clueless about this. I never picked up enough courage to check the results. Yeah, I'm just a little worried my mentors would compare me to my mom. I spent more than a year in Yinglong Special Task Force. Yeah, I did that, but could we not talk about this? There's nothing to hide, I just don't find that place a good match for me. Did you just say that there are people who don't get along with me? Okay, that's ridiculous. Know anything about Dushio the Half-Face? That notorious gang leader at the Asphalt Roundabout? I actually had a pretty nice convo with him, you know? Just as bubbly as ever. She was part of the Yinglong Special Task Force? We haven't seen the Yinglong Task Force yet in the Wuling storyline at all. I think the livery that will eventually get us a 6-star is also part of the Special Task Force. I mean, Mifu should be part of the task force as well. I found out that Chen Qianyu is always the first name in the invite list for all sorts of celebrations, retirement parties, and daily hangouts at various Endfield regional offices as well as Dijon. Everyone would punch in Chen Qianyu first when writing their invitation mail. This is not an alphabetical issue, otherwise Antle would be the first name on the list. Chen Qianyu is marked by her incredible vibes and abilities to liven up the atmosphere of an otherwise somber cabin. Once she steps into a place, it would take her less than 5 minutes to get the most introverted operators to start talking, and the most restrained operators to start smiling. However, she usually does not have to use too much diplomacy to achieve these effects. In fact, Chen's direct and straightforward nature means that tact and technique are things she needs when communicating with other people. When Chen actually relies on other properties, when she livens up the atmosphere. Several operators attribute this to her warm, passionate smile. Others believe it is her excessive overreactions and her ability to inflate ordinary-looking incidents into exciting moments. Certain operators would emphasize Chen's seemingly endless reservoir of new ideas that bring joy and happiness during recess, even for those unskilled in socializing. An example would be the tradition of office chair racing, which has been reinstated with Chen's insistence. The legacy lives on. We carry the flame! Hold up, we're still doing office chair racing? On Endfield, on Dijon? Chen also actively took over movies aboard Dijon, though most of her picks happen to be martial arts films from Yan. According to a few operators, when being a friend and listening to their accounts of the day, Chen would bring up points that had been overlooked. Her input sorted out seemingly convoluted incidents as neatly as her meticulously combed and kept twin ponytails. During the retirement party of an elite operator, Perlica got a little tipsy after going through a few glasses of tunneling nidworm blood brew, low alcoholic content. Okay, so Perlica has a low tolerance. While Andre snoozed on the sofa and Chen, surrounded by a crowd, trimmed the engineer's eyebrows with a pair of scissors, the supervisor suddenly blurted out, "Chen has the power to make people safe." "What? It's so loud in here. Feel safe? I never heard those words from you before, supervisor." Chen seems to regain her vigor by simply hanging out with people. Even if her schedule were packed with field operations, she would do whatever she could to show up at various gatherings. She would liven up the event, then leave without a sound. When asked about this, Chen would say that she was born without a serious need for sleep. Wait, Operator Chen probably uses more stamina and energy than more people, right? Sure, she might be training in esoteric Yanni's techniques, but how could anyone maintain such levels of energy on just 3 hours of sleep per day? Speaking of which, I saw her dozing off during her meditative sessions. Perlica shook her head. Chen is determined to shoulder the brunt for everyone. Once she set her mind onto something, persuading her to give up is extremely difficult. Oh, and I thought Chen's a really easygoing person. Maybe she's just a little slow. Supervisor Perlica, did you just say something bad about Chen? Perlica, you clocked her. You don't say the quiet part out loud. According to her birth certificate, which she found at an extended search through her personal belongings, Chen was born at a place far outside the civilization band in the year 132. She does not recognize the name of the place or what happened there, so she's minimum 20. Thankfully, she remembers everything about her wonderful childhood at Hongshan City. For example, the first sight of her memories was an evening where she was lying in her mother's embrace. The sharp ridges of Hongshan Crater resembled spears behind the wall of shields, like ancient fists raised high into the night skies of Talos 2. The first word she spoke in her memories was Mom, that she voiced into an echo tube with plenty of jiggles. The echoes made it sound like a chorus of 1,000 voices, and Chen remembered her mother saying, "Junshan, we should call her Qianyu. She'll probably end up at the bottom of her class like I did, so a simpler name will make it easier when the teacher makes her write it over and over." Oh! Mama Chen? She predicted that her daughter was gonna have 85 intellect? The first sort of her memories was a stick carefully trimmed and sanded to remove all thorns and barbs and bark. The first reward of her memories was a gentle kiss on her head, awarded after she disarmed the wielder of another stick. The first time she understood things in her memories was when the grown-ups announced the Angloy had arrived. Her mother suddenly opened the door hidden within the wardrobe and took out a blade she'd never seen before, the Chishao, and rushed out of their home. The first sad moment in her memories was her 10th birthday party. Her father called her and she went over. He wiped the cream off her cheeks and told her the news, and she never saw her mother ever since. Spoiler alert, her mother's at Rhodes Island. "I thought it was no big deal," Chen Qianyu said. She had just met a Liberi this afternoon, one that called herself Perlica. Though she resembled the TGCC heiress, she claimed she came from a place called Endfield. The two shared a mo bun beside a mud trail. Although Chen was the one who put in a great detail more effort to push the bird and beast cart, the quiet and well-behaved Perlica ate more than she did. Then again, Chen got a smaller share because she spent most of the afternoon sharing moments from the first 20 years of her life. So it means that was the day that she suddenly disappeared from your life. She didn't disappear. I know she's alive. We just don't know where she went and when she'd come back. She also made a very important promise with me. We know exactly where she is. Also, maybe she'll be a playable character. And here's my little theory. I think Chen's mom was one of the 40 heroes that joined the Enmin in the siege at the north. I feel like she was one of the 40 heroes because I can just imagine the Chishao getting used over there. Because why wouldn't it be? Let Mama Chen, the MILF, become a playable character, and her signature weapon is gonna be the Chishao. She's gonna be a 6-star, and she's gonna have matching 85 intellect. Let it be, Hypergriff. Perlica nodded. Okay, I've shared more than enough already. What about your family, Perlica? Tell me about them. Just like yours, Perlica said quietly, I don't know when my family would return, but we also made an important promise. I have to eventually read Perlica's backstory manga. Still kinda annoyed that it's not accessible within the actual game directly. Well, I guess we are fated to meet each other. Chen grabbed the Liberty's shoulder and felt her stiffen up temporarily before relaxing. Best friends. The hinge of the courtyard gate had broken down for a while. It probably broke 2 weeks after Chen Qianyu left. Her mother's name is Qiqi! When Guangjin Jianshan, that's her father, noticed the hinge broken in two, he couldn't help but feel he had already seen this coming. Every time someone pushed open the gate to enter and leave the garden, the hinge would release an irksome groan loud enough to be heard in the house. Even the study. The groan at 5 during sunrise was Chen heading out to practice swordsmancy. The groan at 8 in the morning was Chen rushing back home, picking up her school bag, grabbing the food from her father's plate, taking 2 messy bites out of it and rushing out to Tanjian Hall for her classes. The groan at 5 in the afternoon was Chen running back into the courtyard while chasing foul beasts through the grove, humming a song and switching a well-balanced stick around. The groan at midnight was Chen secretly jumping out of her second-floor bedroom. She thought her father would not know she had snuck out to have fun on her own. Jianshan knew everything. He had quietly paved the flat path leading to the gate and got rid of the protruding stones. He would not want his careless darling girl to trip and fall in the darkness. He had always been a dutiful father who had acted rather than lectured. His name, Jianshan, meant builder of Hongshan. When Qiqi first learned about his actual name, she laughed and said it was too down-to-earth, like a hard and stubborn stone. The stone was the ballast that secured their life in the Hongshan crater. The stone restrained its ability to skip across rivers and lakes, and sank itself into cities and civilizations. The stone stayed behind, even after she left, and allowed itself to be covered in moss. And today, the gate groaned again. Jianshan leaped from his desk and went straight to the living room. His daughter kicked off her shoes, threw down her traveling satchel, and collapsed into the sofa. None of it felt normal. Jianshan counted the days in his mind. She stayed for 3 days during the New Year holidays and had not been back for 6 months afterwards. Her return to Hongshan in an ordinary Monday afternoon was strange. Her credit card reported no expenses for nearly 4 days. How did she survive? And why did she look so tired and exhausted? Did she take the wrong bus? Hongshan Crater was known for its complex geography, and people who seldom returned often messed up the rides and had to walk long detours to be home. But Jianshan kept all these questions himself. Hungry? His darling girl nodded. He made some noodles and added 2 extra pieces of meat. The young lass was still growing. Qianyu came to the kitchen and served the table. She did not forget Qiqi's rules despite romping through the world for 14 months. They sat facing each other and had their meals. What experiments have you been running, Dad? You probably wouldn't know about it. Well, it'd be great if you could cook as well as you do science. Your test got all those generous HAS grants. Your mom likes what I make. Does that mean Mom had no taste? This is really salty. No matter the conversation, she would typically finish everything, even the soup. But this day was different. She set her chopsticks aside after 2 bites, and just sat on the chair as her eyes glazed outside. Dad, I think I have trouble staying at a single place for long. He knew that Chen was clear that he could not and would not say anything, and probably did not know how to continue this topic. He usually just let the discussion slide, but her drooping tail and expressions looked particularly sad on this day. He suddenly remembered that his prodigal daughter had matured somewhat and was slowly learning her lessons. Goals on your feet? Wang Jianshan asked. Your old man used to be a pretty fast runner. I can't afford to be slow, or your mama's blade would catch up to me. What are you talking about? I used to hike the mountains carrying 100 kilos of surveillance gear. You've seen them. Big telescopes, was always down to the training. The old Qianyu would fly around and lead the way while we ran along the foot of the mountains trying to keep up.
Ah, stop it already. I don't think I can find a place that fits me.
She raised her head. The resemblance hit him and left him a little dazed. Well, your ma. She actually left Hongshan 3 times. And that's just counting this place.
What? Why didn't you tell me about this?
Because you probably won't understand. Yanshan saw the glimmer and spark returned to his daughter's face. Chen was back, and quickly enough.
When did all this happen? Before I was born or when you moved back to Hongshan? Was that the last time she left? You told me she went to that
Oh, okay, directly confirming it. Wish me all you want. Mama told me to keep it from you.
Ah, that silly old woman, why?
He looked at the girl who started eating her noodles once more. So, when are you moving out again? Confirmation that Mama Chen Chi-Chi is at Rhodes Island. Did she go there because she's infected? Or does she have other business there? Things to mull, things to think about. I think we only have 1 5-star left. And then oh wait, no, we have 2. We have Xaihi and Alesh.
Empty wallet.
Oh wait, no, we have 3. We have Perlica.
Ready to go.
Empty wallet.
I will sip my coffee. Probably some water. We're gonna need to hydrate. Or else my voice will die. Okay. Alesh. United Workers Syndicate of Talos 2. Anity. What's an Anity again? Is it a raccoon? Probably. Outdoor survival. Skilled at surviving uncharted waters, no matter how deep or shallow it is. Battlefield tactics. Alesh is always planning something. Sometimes it's angling, other times it's pulling up the fitting nets. Culture. Mr. Alesh usually naps with a book on his face, and he changes the book once in a while. Sports. Fin angling may look like a peaceful sport, but is actually a wrestling match against monstrous waves. Alesh, male, UWST, September 1, Anity, Earpathy, positive, infected. Strength standard, combat skill standard, acumen excellent, arts assimilation excellent. There are plenty of things we can learn by studying Alesh's Originium arts. He probably used the arts to create a fin-like construct from memory or figment of his imagination. The fin is unlikely to be an entity summoned from another dangerous or unknown dimension, I guess. The fish that he fishes up with his arts. Operator Alesh is currently an angler and fin vendor. He's now working at Endfield Industries following the recommendations of our UWSC liaison, Seagull. After evaluations, we believe that the operator is capable of serving as a liaison or covert ops agent in the frontiers. When Operator Alesh arrived at Rhodes Island... Fuck. Freudian slip. When Operator Alesh arrived at Endfield, he placed a fresh fin of unknown species on my desk. It smelled of the sea and exhibited a bright sheen. When Alesh realizes I do not require any dietary proteins, he immediately offered to perform taxidermy on the catch and mount it on the wall to commemorate our meeting. After a moment of silence, I transferred the fin to the Chief Logistics Office, completed his onboarding process, and signed a regional liaison agreement as well as a covert operations agreement. He summarized his understanding of his duties with this line: angling, but not for the roast. Preliminary observations, Alesh exhibits adequate adaptability to our work environment. I had a little burp. Seems incredibly at ease with himself and displays no other obvious anomalous quirks. Professional stability and performance will require further observations. He got his shit together. Hello people. I'm the new candidate consultant for angling strategies and instructor for hobby angling. Never heard of it? Ah, yeah. I think some boss man probably misread my resume and decided to hire me. Maybe he sneezed and got me approved. I'm just an angler and fin seller, you know.
It's also possible that your Endfield system got too many loopholes, since a freezer can get treated as frontline combat hardware. Anyway, I got in. Okay, since no one is shooing me anyway, I'll try to share my true knowledge. It's not going to be engineering or tactics. I'm talking about angling. Don't underestimate angling. It's outdoor meditation for true anglers. Those who don't know anything call it old boys' excuse to be lazy. I'll tell you about angling with the Endfield lingo. It's a miniaturization of a tactical operation. You got a bait, hook, deception, and patience. So who ends up slipping? Who gets hooked? Who becomes bait? And who enjoys deep-fried fins on the shore? It's all about luck and vision. Now let's take a look at two basic terms: float angling and boat angling. I suddenly realized this motherfucker has a hyperfixation on angling. Yes, get him, King! Tell them all about your hyperfixation! What's float angling? It's just scattering the bait in the water and looking at your float. You may think you caught something when the float moves a little, but when you lift your rod with excitement, you realize the fin never got bit, and in fact laughing and blowing bubbles at you. Some fins take 2 bites and swim away, and some don't even like the bait. They just snag the line and take you for a fool. It's like a turf battle. The bandit gives a funny look and you think he's about to make a move, but turns out he only remembered he forgot about the spices for the fin stew. Angling isn't about mysterious techniques. It's all about not snapping your rod after 12 missed pulls. So what is bottom angling? You dig yourself a hole, and then you sink the bait. And then, nothing else happens. The fins just ignore what you did. Maybe they'll roll their eyes before moving on. I used to know a gang advisor who's an expert at bottom angling. He always says, "Stop moving, son. They fear you more if you stay still." So, Senior Advisor would spend all day on his second-hand rocking chair while they break your legs out there. And then he would squint his eyes and go, "Look, the enemy has taken the bait. Take the friggin' bait. I hope the old bastard shits rocks and dies. I was a friggin' bait." Got a little carried away. Anyway, angling is a great sport. Just start angling if you want to know how fun it is. In my humble opinion, it is far healthier than sitting around looking into the cold, dark space. So your question is, why am I even here? Decent canteen food and no one's clocking my naps. Pretty nice place, actually.
Alesh's contribution to the hobby sharing get-together. Alesh's daily routine. 6 a.m. Wakes up, prepares angling gear and bait, sharpens the hooks while mumbling to himself, "Gotta really hook these fins today." Sets off at 6:30, throws some fin bones to the cloud beast strays in the streets. 6:45 to 9:15, morning angling time. Finds a place where water flow is slower, waits patiently for the fins. 9 to 10, wraps up the angling gear, checks his catch, inspects the conditions of the caught fins. Special catches are set aside for other uses. He will pleasure himself with that fish. 10 to 12, fin stall morning shift. Fins are arranged neatly in a specific number of rows and directions. These details matter a lot. 12 to 1, lunchtime. Roasted fin over fire. Eats while glancing at his handy term. 1 to 3, takes a nap or walk. Sometimes goes off to the wharf to review his angling skills, or sits on the bench to talk to strangers on proper angling spots. Jabbers on and on while making the fins restless in the water. 3 to 5:30, fin stall afternoon shift. Continue selling fins while observing passers-by for any familiar faces that shouldn't be showing up. 5:45 to 7:45, night angling at deep waters. Final push during sunset. Specifically targets great fins that tend to be cautious and alert. These specimens are most active during sunset. This is also the time when enemies are most likely to make their mistakes. 8 to 9, dinner time. Organizes his catch for the day. Records the angling results and daily fintel he gathered from all the talking. 9 to 10, rest time. Relaxes on the balcony and gazes at the stars with only one eye. Occasionally gets reminded of those eventful nights. The turf wars are distant memories, yet they also felt like the undercurrents that could suddenly snag him while he angles. And at 10, prepares the bait, checks his angling gear. Who'll be the fin for tomorrow?
Anecdotes from Alesh. New liaison arrived at the secret locale at the corner of the wharf for the first time. The owner of the fin stall laid motionless on a bench with a book on his face. The fins being sold had been laid out in specific arrangements. Gray fins faced north, red cupras were paired. Tucked away at the corner was a strangely patterned white fin. The liaison blinked as he worked his mind to recall the fin code memorized. Struggling as he could, he failed to read the intel. Just as he was about to call the headquarters, the stall owner tossed him a fin with bits of crushed ice. No great fins today. Settle your nutritional needs with this one. The liaison was stunned for 2 seconds before he accepted the fin and nodded in gratitude. He walked for around 30 yards before turning around and looked at the stall again. The owner laid on his bench as though the transaction had never taken place. Report of the day. Situation normal. Intel is accurate. Pretty reliable. Look at him acting cool. Being an intelligence liaison. Pretending he's just a fin seller. Well, technically he is a fin seller, but... The popper tactic was first proposed by operator Alesh. Its theoretical basis was based on poppers, a type of lure used by hobby anglers. According to Alesh's extremely detailed yet unverifiable explanations, the popper is a fake, buoyant fin. Poppers are meant to dance, glimmer, and wag their tails and annoy and finally piss off the foul-tempered big fins to the point that they burst out of the deep. Simply put, poppers do this. Don't want to move? Whatever, watch me pollute your turf, play dead and nab your stuff till you come out and beat me. Then you'll realize I got a co-star on stage with me. What? I need to explain what happened recently. Oh, that was just a basic covert ops job. Convoy needed to get through Route 17, but the LBs love that place. The bandits seized the cargo, kidnapped people, and even took over radio stations. Late night traffic radio literally became a stinking cesspit of crude brekkie. What is brekkie? I was about to go fix my rod, when I got the first mission notification. And when I read the words basic covert operations, I suddenly got overwhelmed by work procrastination. Anyway, before I left the job, I took a look at the map and mumbled, let's try the popper. Of course, nobody knew what I was talking about. Convoy probably thought it was a new weapon and they agreed without thinking. The naivety is astonishing. I mumbled something to myself and people went along. Anyway, it was something really simple. We dumped 2 trucks by the road and dressed them up like they broke down, along with a few crates of firearms. Don't get excited. The crates were filled with bricks. We even sprayed Class 1 hazard on the crates to make it look real, And then we played an SOS recording with a trembling voice. Shit is for a real man. More real than that empty rod in my previous angling run. The first breaker mob came as expected. They paced around the setup like a beast lured in by fresh fins, and got all hungry and excited. Every one of them wanted a piece of my free takeaway. It wasn't even over. I tweaked the SOS radio louder and the second mob arrived. The first group of boys really got pissed. They went from I want a bite to you're not getting a bite. These blightheads didn't even bother to greet and went straight to all-out war at each other. Just like wild rabid cloud beasts scraping for a fin. So the crew hid behind the slopes and enjoyed the breaker show. We even commented on their fighting styles while snacking on dried fin roast. Man, it was bugly as hell. I remembered hustling as a harbor punk when I was a kid, and I still fight better than these dudes. When the battle winded down, we swooped in like a professional crime scene photo takers. Take some pictures, clean up the entire place, the dead, the disabled, and maybe dead or disabled. Anyway, the breaker war didn't leave many who could talk, so the entire convoy got through. Some trucker even told me, bro, that was some masterful covert ops. I said, thank you. My OG plan was to look at the skies all day. Didn't expect an entire school of fins to show up. My biggest takeaway from this was me verifying a principle. Everything is like angling. Make things up along the way and fin improvise. Way better than making detailed plans in my opinion. File 4. I will sip some water. Let me introduce an old friend of mine. Wait, yeah, I think we're old friends. Anyway, the story begins with my least favorite angling style, drop and yank. My least favorite too. Drop and yank is just like what it says. No lures, no baits, No waiting for fins to bite. Drop the hook, yank with all your might, hope it stabs into something that you could plop into the bucket. They call it angling, but it feels more like violent muggery to me. Absolutely zero patience or technique. 100% deadly. I saw the technique for the first time at an abandoned wharf. An old angler with scars all over his face dropped, yanked, and man, it was aquatic murder. Blood everywhere and the poor fin was still flapping. A bunch of kids and I learned how to drop and yank by hiding behind barrels while chewing on tortillas. That was how I met my old friend. It was the first time doing drop and yank and I pulled the thing up from the water. But it fought back and tore itself free. I couldn't forget that bloody wound and the disfigured eye. I can still feel that eye staring at me. Of course, I didn't bother with human-fin relations back then. People have to angle when they get hungry, and we can't help it when things get ugly. You lost your eye to a fish? Damn, that's hardcore. When I was a punk kid... Wait. Is a fish from your ultimate based on the fish that took your eye? I feel like that might be it. That's my headcanon. When I was a punk kid, we lived like fins stuffed in a can. First thing we do in the morning was a head count to see who survived and who got devoured by the streets. Stealing and mugging and lying? Those were the survival techniques. We negotiated with fists. When you have to drop and yank for fins, you know how rough it was back in those days. Then some guy showed up. One that didn't even treat us like feral wildlings. He taught us how to negotiate properly, how to step back a little, and how to protect those around us. He even handed me La Estrada. Told me that someone has to do something different for the city. I believed him, you know. Maybe I can clean up the biz and make a name for myself. Nights got real quiet in those days. I would sometimes angle for fins at the wharf. That was when I saw it again. It became a great fin. The monstrous thing always fought back, always broke free, and always swam in a victory cycle. It was laughing at me with that ring of ripples. The fish that took your eye! So I fought with people in the day and the fin at night, and it lasted till my two most trusted friends gave me Game of Gangs the reality show, plus a ton of backstabbing. They were like two insane raptor fins trying to off each other, and I paid an eye to get them to stop. Or is that when you lost your eye? On the day when the gang broke up, I sat at the wharf to see the waves breaking against the wall. We painted graffiti together as kids. Now there was nothing but froth. Our friendship became a dead fin, scaled and scraped clean. That was also the day when I realized I had become an old geezer fin. Old dude who had lost a lot of weight and its scales were falling off. The injured eye had already turned entirely white. It leaped out of the water and stared at me coldly. It was laughing at me and telling me how I deserved everything. I thought it was our last meeting. But just 2 days ago, I ran into the geezer fin during night angling after I closed shop. It was a full moon and I knew old geezer fin bit the hook. I know that deadly strength anywhere. The battle felt like it lasted 100 years. You should have seen the splashes. Feels like Mei testing out her explosives underwater, but I was the victor of the struggle. Line did not snap, and I hoisted geezer fin out of the water. It looked way bigger than it did during its prime. I was about to lower it in the fin crate when I saw that there was nothing on the hook. Even the bait was intact. Did I actually hook the thing? Did it just come and leave? Or was it just my unresolved angst and dilemmas that used to cover the night to show themselves? I finally understood when the ripples disappeared. It was no longer a simple fin. It had become my lingering disappointments and obsessions, an embodiment of what-ifs left behind whenever I see someone leaving or dying early. I even toyed with the idea of using Originium Arts to hook it out in its entirety. I knew its form, its wounds, its actions, even the way it stares at people. It's living with me. It's way more alive than it had been in the water. Okay, Alesh! Wrapping up your bio with some cinema? Okay! Man's got
Prepped and ready to go.
a multifaceted backstory involving a fish, his old gang, the geezer that taught him how to fish, the geezer fin that was a fish. And now, we move on to Perlica! Perlica, Endfield Industries, Livery, Team Management.
Perlica has the managerial powers and diplomatic resources to coordinate various organizations. She also allocates resources and personnel in a flexible and rational fashion to ensure success in various production activities and joint ventures. Fuck you, game! This is not inactivity! Also, tracking it, sort of figured out that the AFK timer for Endfield is like an hour and a half.
Originium milk prepped and ready to go.
Originium Arts. Thanks to Techno Protocol, her special arts units are now widely used, as they allow low aptitude users to cast arts normally as well. Extreme Food Taster. No dietary preferences and incapable of gaining weight. After meeting Chen Qianyu, Perlica became very interested in food that she never tried before. Wildland Speedster. She's the light and shadow of the band, and her bike leaves trails in the snow and sand. However, she has only shared the secret with you. Perlica. Female. Endfield. March 16. Oh! It's Perlica's birthday! Happy birthday! It's Perlica's birthday today, actually. Oripathy negative. Physiological strength standard. Combat skills standard. Acumen outstanding. Assimilation excellent. Perlica, supervisor of Endfield Industries, is one of the official spokespersons for Endfield. She's primarily responsible for overseeing and advancing the development and application of Protocol Originium technology protocols, while also managing the operations of the Dijang. It's been a long time since I last heard anyone question whether she deserves the title of supervisor. She has silenced all doubts with tangible results, proving M3's words true. This position exists because of Perlica. Don't get the order wrong. I still hardly believe someone so young is capable of supporting the management of the entire Endfield Industries. Yet under her leadership, the future of that Endfield strives towards has only grown clearer. However, she isn't flawless in handling everything. For instance, as a key figure in managing the crisis team, she shouldn't constantly risk herself on the front lines alongside the team members. Even if she continues to dismiss my requests, I will still urge her to reassess the risks. Like many operators within Endfield, Perlica survived the disaster as a child and found refuge under the care of the Endmen and Endfield Industries alongside other children who had lost their families. During her education and growth, she showed exceptional curiosity towards Techno Protocol and gradually became involved in the foundational operations of Endfield Industries on Talos 2. In less than 2 years, her footsteps had reached cities both large and small across the planet. Her understanding of the threats we face so far surpassed that of ordinary individuals. Her passion for Techno Protocol led her to join the R&D Center, where she later played a key role in achieving major breakthroughs in the development and application of Techno Protocol for Endfield Industries. Naturally, she was officially appointed as supervisor, taking the helm of the Dijang, a colossal structure suspended in the artificial stationary orbit above Talos 2. Document: a certain log that requires sufficient authority level. Of course, Perlica's past was never consistently fortunate, as the public records might suggest. Over a decade ago, you rescued her while preparing for the expedition to the north with the 40 heroes and Endmen, offering her unwavering support at the time when she was still lost and fearful. Yet she could never have anticipated that the same crusade would soon turn her life upside down once more. She lost you. In the years that followed, most of the children you saved alongside her moved on to new lives. This includes Lycia, whom she considered a sister, eventually left the Dijang and chose to go her own separate way, possibly as a landbreaker. As friends gradually departed, the weight of responsibility on her shoulders grew heavier. The development of Techno Protocol repeatedly hit roadblocks, yet she stubbornly remained on this most difficult path, winning us over through her actions. It's true that she received support from many along the way, but no one understands her better than I do. The effort she poured in and the hardships that she endured. Go and have a chat with her. She's been waiting far too long.
M3's audio memo. M3, when are you gonna show up some more? And no, we don't mean Martin Marvin Malin. Other operators aboard Dijang often say that Perlica seems to possess a kind of magical quality. As long as she's around, any problem finds its solution. So when I learned that I'd have the privilege of studying alongside her, I was so excited I couldn't sleep. But reality hit me hard. Unable to keep up with her intense workload and exacting standards, I seriously considered quitting along the way. Yet I couldn't bring myself to give up such a precious opportunity. With the expected awakening of the Endmin just around the corner, everyone is on edge. Even Perlica is no exception. Despite her schedule being completely packed, she still manages to squeeze in meetings with senior members from every department to ensure everything goes off without a hitch. But after each of those impromptu private meetings, she always comes out looking uneasy. Could it be that there are things that she can't handle? I can't help but blame myself for not being able to do more help. She noticed how lost I felt and took the initiative to comfort me, even sharing some strangely flavored thin meatballs I've never seen before. The taste was so strong it brought tears to my eyes, yet Supervisor Perlica just watched me with a satisfied smile. That day's worries were washed away along with my tears. In that moment, I suddenly realized that Supervisor Perlica truly does not have that kind of magic. From the work log of a trainee operator who is still applying for the opportunity to continue her apprenticeship under Supervisor Perlica. Record that has not been successfully deleted. Hello? She went to see you too, didn't she, Crad? Asking how to get along with the Endmin she cares so much about. Wouldn't expect anything less from Intel. You're not even on the Dijang and you're still this well informed. When she rushed into the training room to find me, I thought something had gone wrong, but then she asked me that dead seriously. Totally took me by surprise. Guess I've gotten so used to her being the supervisor that I almost forgot she actually isn't invincible. I do love that awkward tone she takes when she messages me. Still just as adorable as when we were kids. So, what advice did you give her? Same as you? Nothing at all. The other old-timers did about the same too. We're all just waiting to see how this plays out. But I bet she'll hide it perfectly when she sees the Endmin again. Don't worry, M3 will definitely be with her. You really think we won't get every last detail from the scene? Right, and remember we promised we'd keep this completely confidential, especially from the Endmin. Relax, Crad, you know I'm the last person to talk, professional ethics and all, but honestly, it's almost a shame we won't get to see little Perlica pouting over this, isn't it? No matter where you run into Supervisor Perlica aboard the Dijang, she always calmly greets you before immediately returning to her work. Some even joke that beneath her livery appearance, she might actually be a machine, perfectly executing the directives of some higher intelligence. Yeah, that's definitely a theory. Not one I agree with, though. I still think that's a crazy fucked up theory. No, Endmin is not secretly evil just because Perlica views it in the same light as Amiya did with Rhodes Island. While this kind of rumor spreads widely among new operators, the supervisor does not mind at all. In fact, she occasionally plays along with a joke on purpose, lightening the mood and helping to ease the tension among the crew. According to the unofficial account by Martin Marvin Malin, after officially assuming the role of supervisor, Perlica forced herself to adopt the most appropriate demeanor to fulfill her duties. But accumulated emotions and pressure always need an outlet. Even before Endmin's return, Perlica already found a way to truly relax. Have you heard of the Crankcase creative contest? They say it originally started as a creative showdown between a certain vampire genius and a mysterious mechanic? What? Crankcase Creative Showcase. Vampire Genius. Closure. Mysterious Mechanic. Who would that be? Eunectes? That's the only one I can remember. Closure and Eunectes technically kind of have a rivalry situation going on. Seniors in the R&D Center brought this ancient Terra event to Endfield. Oh my god, it is Closure and Eunectes! Nowadays, the wild ideas that emerge from the CCC not only bring a lot of laughter to the operators, but also greatly drive our technological innovation, yet very few know the true force behind the event at Endfield is Supervisor Perlica. After all, she has never officially participated and rarely voices her opinions. In truth, her reason for reviving this event was simply to create a platform where she could relieve her restless hands and test the strange ideas in her head. Even though I was banned from competing this year, I wouldn't call myself entirely absent. Eunectes is alive? No, I think it's just something that they started on Rhodes Island that they brought over as a tradition onto Endfield. After all, I'm the one who named the award-winning Blast Maror. When its creator came to me with the idea of stuffing a gravity firearm into an acceleration engine, I knew it had potential. We ended up taking apart quite a few firearms to make it work. Huh? Of course we didn't touch my dad's precious stockpile. The reigning champion of the multiple crankcase creative contest, a prodigy in firearm engineering. This vehicle just took first place in the Neo Tsukushi Underground Heat Rally. What's it doing on the Dijiang? From a racing enthusiast. Hold up, we have a car here? They have underground racing at Neo Tsukushi? They're Tokyo drifting? Blast Maror, owned by Ilyich the Suspect. Perlica, which department did this newcomer come from? Ilyich the Suspect. Okay. That's a little tease for an operator that we might see in the future. Operator Ilyich the Suspect, who is a prodigy in firearm engineering and the reigning champion of the crankcase creative contest. We have a prodigy engineer that we haven't met yet on Rhodes Island. M3. File this document as an annex to Zeroth Directive under sealed status. It is not to be enforced under any circumstances. I hereby appoint Perlica as the signatory of Zeroth Directive. However, its activation must be entirely subject to her personal consent. If she ultimately decides to remain with Endfield Industries, you, as the executor, shall take her to meet the founder. The founder. A certain log that requires sufficient authority level. Have you decided? Staying with Endfield Industries was never a question, M3. Very well, come with me. The founder wishes to meet you. So we finally meet Supervisor Perlica. Supervisor? Wait, your appearance. Our time is running short. Okay. The founder is definitely not the admin because I'm assuming this happens while the admin is still fridged. There is currently a secret founder at the very top echelons of Endfield Industries that even M3 addresses. Who is this founder? Who could it be? Thinking emoji. Some people think that this might be Priestess. I think, from this line alone, Supervisor, wait, your appearance. She's surprised about the founder's appearance. If she meets Priestess, she wouldn't even know who she is. Why would she be surprised about a brown-haired woman that she meets as the founder of Endfield? It would only be surprised if it's an appearance that she's seen before. I think it's Kelsey. She would only be surprised about the founder's appearance if it's someone that she's seen before and she's shocked that there's someone else that looks like them. Of the doppelgangers that we currently have in Endfield, the ones that match the description the most are probably gonna be M3 and Kelsey. Does her name start with a P or a D? It starts with a K. I think Kelsey's an Endfield. People think that Kelsey's dead because they continuously misinterpret her bloodline of combat skin. She's coming back. That's more or less confirmed that we're getting her as an alter eventually in OG Arknights. However, are we getting her in Endfield though? Was Kelsey a secret founder of Endfield Industries? Well, we do know that Rhodes Island was a co-founder of Endfield. Like, officially, Rhodes Island is a co-founder of Endfield. Only 3 people have highest authority at Rhodes Island. Amiya, Doctor. Perlica wouldn't be surprised about seeing Doctor or Amiya. They wouldn't... I don't know if she would know them, at least at a glance. She would definitely recognize someone that looks like M3. All I'm saying is, Kelsey might be on the Dijon.
Over here.
I offer today's dialogue and
Okay, last 5-star of all the currently available 5 stars of 1.1. We have Xaihi. Faction, Cabal of Tranquility. Race, Sarkaz. Expertise, Erudite. Linguist. The focus of her research includes records of the mysterious precursors to abstract and esoteric algorithmic scripts. Data exchange. Skilled in discourse with all manners of smart and non-smart devices and machines, ranging from access security interfaces to toasters. She talks to toasters. I heard the operators on the Dijon gossip about her. Technology, signal analysis and processing, the world's composition and how it works, signal inputs and outputs, and anything else named as a form of technology are the very fields of her pursuit. Online gamer, the renowned master of algorithmic checkers aboard Dijon. A mind kept cool in a low-temperature environment is essential to master this mathematical board game. She's an algorithmic checkers grandmaster. She plays 4D chess. Codename Xaihi. Female, Cabal of Tranquility. May 16th, Sarkaz. Oripathy, Infected. Strength normal, combat skill standard, acumen standard, arts excellent. Seraphine Xaihi is a member of the Cabal of Tranquility. Since Endfield Industries and the Cabal of Tranquility are jointly carrying out Originium information technology research projects, Abbess Vronta recommended Xaihi to work at Endfield premises. Xaihi is currently building the Dijon Proto-Rig network and performing various data engineering tasks, such as systems integration. Xaihi seems to be extremely interested in the mechanical construction and sentience module. During our conversation, she repeatedly inquired how my linguistics converter... Oh, she's talking to Martin Marvin Malin. She inquired how my linguistics converter transforms sentience logic signals into digital code, interpretable as audio wave outputs with my voice generator. In every occasion, I politely requested her to focus on the ongoing HR interview. Xaihi appeared rather disappointed and expressed her desire to install a duplicate set of my components into her physical body. Her reasons being, this will prevent me from suddenly voicing bursts of esoteric verbiage, and thus avoid incidents of misunderstanding and disturbances. I pointed out that Xaihi's human organ, namely her cerebrum, is far more capable of generating expressions more complex and effective than machine-generated language. Miss Xaihi, out of personal etiquette, gave me a smile in response. Besides this minor incident, the general profile of Xaihi matches an individual capable of living together with mechanical constructs. This matches her knowledge and background with the Cabal of Tranquility. Her introverted nature, however, differed from the other Cabalists who have communicated with. The Cabal, after all, is an organization known throughout the world for their openness, as well as eagerness to link up with others. Lateran religion has come this far, huh? Visiting Operator Xaihi during non-working hours is a process so convoluted that people have regarded it as a form of filter. However, Xaihi herself does not see it that way. The process begins at one's arrival at the Dijon via TP point next to the central ring.
You, the visitor, shall then walk through the lengthy corridors of the living quarters while avoiding the crowd. Make the turn onto the narrow lane, then stop at the unassuming cabin at the very end. The smooth door is almost the same level as with the walls, and seems unwilling to accept entry. You might hesitate and think about rumors of the non-existent ghost of Dijang as you follow the illustrated instructions and depress the third wall panel next to the door. This is the only action that will reveal the dial hidden beneath. Your wait is not long. Perhaps the actions of visitation have been permitted by the lady of the alcove. She may exhibit a touch of shyness when she opens the door for you. Revelations of the law have predicted your arrival, she said as she folded her hands before her skirt and bowed slightly. I shall seek the object of your desire. The door slowly closes before you, denying your visuals of every action and potential taking place within that little alcove, the very same location that many operators have esoterically described as one of the egresses of the assimilated universe. The noise and clamor of the Dijang is only a dozen yards away. You suddenly notice the peculiar tranquility within the narrow corridor. Across immeasurable stretches of time, you, the visitor, is prevented from committing to the flow of verbal exchange. Instead, the collision of stars echo within your ears as teachings and gospels of eons flood into your mind. All point towards a nebulous path that yearns to make itself known. The door then opens. The gentle sarcastic girl named Xaihi shows herself again. She gives onto you a specialized operational asset that you have applied via the Endfield office administration system, a brand new handheld terminal. You, the visitor, offer your thanks as you take a quick glance at the alcove interiors. You see a seat showered in the eerie blue of a dozen monitors. There is also a narrow bed for one, blankets folded neatly, and more that's at its end. And this is all that is contained within one of the egresses of the assimilated universe. I will take a sip of water. Xaihi is a calm and reliable operator. She treats her profession with the most zealous of faith and handles her personal beliefs in the most professional manner. 4 years ago, Xaihi came to Enfield Industries as a visiting scholar to support the Urgenium technology projects we jointly pursue with the Cabal of Tranquility. We did not want to give her any actual responsibilities back then. However, she immediately committed herself to the repairs of the Dijang mere moments after her arrival. I'm inclined to believe that Cabalists have an innate sense of duty, given their knowledge of our past and their hopes of our future. Yeah, the Cabal of Tranquility, it should be common knowledge by now that about the precursors, because since OG Arknights, the Aegir have already revealed everything about the history of Terra and the precursors. And we've had the whole situation with the Law and Exia and the Sancta. The whole religion itself was flipped on its head. I guess that's how the Cabal would develop over the next century. Her way of thinking is completely different from mine. However, we got along fine. It's nothing complicated. Sometimes she pointed out details that I never saw. I just had a burp. An example? Let me think. I got one. She said people reside in their respective languages. That line alone got me thinking for an entire day. What? Did she really say that? Now I'm curious. Arclight and Xaihi, are two mega opposite techno gals, can actually talk to each other? How? Well, I guess Operator Xaihi does talk to everyone. That's what makes her so awesome. And convos with Xaihi don't sound as though she's just blabbering about her own stuff. I guess people do get some tranquil vibes from her. I often converse with Operator Xaihi during work. We're both interested in Originium devices. Not that doesn't make us colleagues. Her knowledge and expertise in server and electronic systems far surpass mine. What do they mean it's rare for me to say something positive about other people? I regard myself as an easygoing and casual individual. Who is this? Oh. No shit. Of course. Since you started the topic,
I'm actually curious why she chose to bunk in that server room. Yes, I'm talking about the place where all the server professionals worked at. Look, if I apply to the office... Wait, hold up. I lost my train of thought. Server professional. Look, if I apply for an office equipment for specialized electric work processes, instead of telling me to pick up the thing at the logistics division, I have to pick up the device from her place. That place is devoid of natural solar radiation and has non-stop air conditioning to keep it cold. I have not entered there. Exposing Azavra to such conditions for extended periods of time will induce severe lethargy. Azavra are actually cold-blooded? I must say that living in such environments is a strange and unique choice. Perhaps she is trying to maintain a long-lost tradition of asceticism. Hey, don't leave, I'm not done yet. Operator Xaihi also has good taste in gaming. She's one of the very few skillful adversaries I can respect aboard the Dijang. What game, you say? Sudoku. There is no other real game but Sudoku. Okay, Antle, sure. Her hands are cold. She said redemption is cold. I shall live with that fact. Ember, one line. Meanwhile, Antle, just yapping. Excerpt from a newspaper clipping. Firstly, let us offer sincere wishes to Master Shatterus reborn to us. Secondly, let us offer sincere wishes to the law that has blessed and protected us. Finally, let us offer sincere wishes to our fellow faithfuls affected by the Domus collapse. Perhaps some of you are still performing cleanup work despite having pulled an all-nighter. But when you retire to your bed and rest, be aware that you must, in a punctual manner, pay respects to our Lord afar. Our Lord shall forgive you for compensating yourselves after an intense episode of labor. Now back to the Domus collapse. The cause of this incident has been identified. Redrawing of the Cathedralis Domus of codes by Sister Seraphine. The redrawing has caused our Domus itself, based on the ancient and splendorous architecture of Laterano, to undergo unexpected resonance with our massive data flows. Hence, the Great Monastery network collapsed for 0.836 seconds. Even fellow Kabbalists over 200 kilometers away felt its tremors. Your faithful correspondent arrived at the site to see that Sister Seraphine had buried her head in the server cabinet and temporarily cut off from any contacts with the outside world. Abbess Vronta and 3 Cabal leaders later convened with an emergency meeting to solve the incident. The verdict for the violator shall be officially announced in the next session of exceptions. What was she doing in the server room? Also, are everyone in the Cabal connected through the server? They felt the tremors of the server from far away. Your faithful correspondent believes that there are 2 sides to every incident. Every massive scale solution offers a minute trail to the future. For example, this incident once again triggered a rather passionate debate if we should, in this generation, continue to provide labor, resources, and constant vigilance to maintain the Domus of Codes, itself a technological marvel. If you wish to share your opinions, please mail them via Confessa Sancta, Great Monastery. Finally, the Lord is always in our hearts and minds. Good morning to you all. Document. Letter in the form of a secret order, delivered to the mailbox of Supervisor Perlica. Pronta, the knower of Veritas, Abbess of the Monasterium, Cabal of Tranquility. To the Honorable Supervisor of Enfield Industries, Miss Perlica, I hereby recommend Sister Seraphine Xaihi as a liaison of our party in the Originium Information Technology Project, jointly pursued by Enfield Industries and us, the Cabal of Tranquility. As Xaihi's guardian in the Cabal, I have witnessed how she grew from a tender young child who loved the libraries to a... Pardon me, but the law demands us to be forthright and act with consistency, and thus I shall give you the answer. She has grown into a frost of wisdom. Truth be told, souls that have not yet gained enlightenment from the law will be easily lost in the vast amounts of knowledge stored within the Cabal. Gained enlightenment from the law. What does that mean? Does that mean... I don't know. From this sentence alone, as far as we know, Sancta are still being born despite everything that happened during the Masses' travels. The law itself, its nature has been exposed, and yet belief in the faith has rewritten the law in which halos are still born onto Sancta that believe in the faith. Do they mean that anyone within the Cabal can get a halo and connect with the law once they gain enlightenment? Is that something that happens now? However, Xaihi has managed in her own accord to identify a path within the Great Vault of Data. After years of tireless perusal and contemplation within our Vault of Tomes, we opened the door and saw her remade. Intellect did not lead her astray into arrogance, but instilled a sense of sorrow within her eyes. It was then when I realized that she had seen the future we are headed towards. Of course, this intellect had led to quite an incident on our side, one that is on par with her previous attempt of system optimization. She was messing with the servers. I don't know. The Cabal of Tranquility probably has the largest archive of information dating back to the age of the precursors. Like, there's a more complex relationship now between the Lateran faith and the existing knowledge of everything we now have because the Aegers decided to reveal everything at the United Nations. Oh, whoopsie. Accidentally. Your faithful correspondent. Wait, no, wrong one. Though I place no blame upon her, she seems to have sunken into such depths of guilt where self-salvation seems impossible. Hence, I humbly request to let Sister Xaihi continue her good works at Endfield Industries. The Cabal is rooted in our past and history, and hence we are not the perfect place for nurturing a future that is too delicate, tender, and far away. Sister Xaihi is better suited for your path. I have absolute faith that she is capable of fulfilling the duties demanded of an Originium information technology expert. Please contact me anytime you need further details. Bronta, Cabal of Tranquility. Document. A prayer slip, kept within a book. O merciful Lord, I praise thee. Grant language unto me, but lead me not into voicing it with vulgar words. Grant intellect unto me, but lead me not into employing it for blasphemy. Grant benevolence unto me, but lead me not into abusing it with arrogance. Grant vision unto me, but lead me not unto corrupting it with base and common images. Grant friendship unto me, but lead me not into terminating it with violence. Grant eternal curiosity unto me, but lead me not into washing it with ignorance. Note: after verification, prayers of the Kabbalists are based on their most truthful desires. The Cabal of Tranquility encourages their members to compose their own prayers. The followers of their Lord have their own belief and will about the Lord. That is how they define their faith. Oh! Interesting. Like, the most interesting part about all of this is how the Lateran faith seems to have developed post Massa's travels. Post the law going insane, leaving them, and just attempting to leave the star pod. Last time we saw the law, it's just up there at the star pod trying to break through. We don't know where it went. We don't know where it wants to go. As far as we know so far. Excerpt from a diary. 4 years have passed since I boarded this vessel. The task of repair is progressing slowly, but with efficacy. Although the undertaking has become relatively uneventful, I have gradually found my way to return to my inner calm. This is the place where I can work in a dark and cold cabin. The rhythms of machines offer me incredible comfort. This is where I need not worry whether my actions would bring trouble to others. Of course, this is where I can share fragmented conversations with data residues of the Originium network. In the network, I experienced never-seen-before ruins of splendorous majesty that Sancta share their empathy. I hear the lamentations from myriad souls of the Sarkaz erased from... What? Wait. What? I hear the lamentations from myriad souls of the Sarkaz erased from existence? I witness the incessant bleeding of rebellion and subservience, and every time I wanted to take another step, these experiences would suddenly cease. The silence is frightening.
I continued my calculations and repairs, hoping I can speak it once more. Hear it speak once more. Wait, do the Cabal of Tranquility have access to the assimilated universe? Is that what their archives are? Wait a minute. Something I feared even more has happened. I realized that the Originium has been polluted, damaged, and obliterated. I mean, at minimum, Xaihi clearly has access to the assimilated universe. Or she knows enough about it, because she's the Originium expert that we have. It seems intertwined with what I perused in the various tomes of the Cabal. Okay, so the Cabal doesn't seem to have access to the AU. Xaihi at least has enough knowledge about it that she could access it. Why is this the case? What does Originium mean with regards to the codes of civilization that we are deciphering? What is the entity capable of polluting, damaging, and even obliterating the Originium? It's the Blight. That's what the Blight was introduced as. The Blight is the one thing that we know so far in Endfield that can counter Originium. Perhaps this is why Abyss Mumu sent me here. That was the day when I noticed a strange glow on Supervisor Perlica's visage. But this glow was quickly extinguished by her constant pondering. They are whispering. Something big is about to happen. Will it be relevant to the answers I seek? Why does Perlica have a strange aura? Xaihi seems like she's more connected to the Originium than anyone else aside from the Enmin so far. Black hair, black mask, black shadow. Operator Chen Qianyu introduced the Enmin to me, the one who has been hibernating in the medical bay, and for an instant, I seemed to achieve a form of empathy. Like a sancta? A cacophony and impulse for joy, laughter, and tears exploded within me. I could not restrain the shaking of my material form. This entity is the answer, but I have not prepared my questions. Wait, Xaihi empathized with the Enmin. Hold up, what is with all of this, dog? Xaihi low-key laying out some of the bigger lore bombs so far? Okay. I'm feeling like once we get into the whole, I don't know, Originium plotline, Xaihi's gonna be definitely important to laying things out. Interesting. Alright. I'm down with it. Cabal of Tranquility. Sure. Well, that was a great reading session. We learned a lot. We're done with the 5 stars. And now all we have left are the current 6 stars of 1.1. We got through all of the 5 stars. Hooray. Anyway. Yeah, that'll be that for now. Next Endfield stream. What should we do next Endfield stream? Attempt to trim our Re-Crisis medals or continue reading the 6-star trust profiles? Either or. Or maybe we could do Etch Space Salvage. There's a lot to do actually in 1.1. Anyway, that'll be that for now. Thank you to everyone who stopped by, chilled out in chat, and watched us read through the remaining 5-star profile records for our current Endfield operators. Once again, my name is Nez, and thanks for watching. I'm gonna see friendos next time. Bye-bye.